Okay, we are now going to do application 6.2 in your textbook on page 172. This is a continuation of our worksheet that we did in 6.1, that we began in 6.1. And in this lesson, we are going to record adjustments. And adjustments is when you take what you actually have on hand. In this case, we're going to deal with what we have on hand in supplies and what we have on hand in insurance. And we compare that to what our books say we have. So the first thing we're going to do is supplies. And in supplies, we can go to our trial balance and see that our books say we have $690 on hand in supplies. Well, our textbook tells us that on June the 30th, we actually took a physical count of our supplies, and it says our supplies on hand is $250. So we don't actually have $690. We actually have $250 in supplies. So we need to adjust this $690 debit to make it accurately reflect a $250 debit. So we're going to need to determine the difference. So we're going to say 690 minus 250 is $440. So we want this 690 debit to become a $250 debit. So we're going to credit it $440 because a 690 debit and a 440 credit will become a $250 debit, and that is what we actually have on hand. Now, this adjustment to supplies represents the amount of supplies that we used in the period. So in the month of June, we used $440 worth of supplies. When we used those assets in order to make money or make revenue, when you use an asset and it creates a revenue, that asset becomes an expense. So that $440 represents the amount of supplies that we used. It becomes an expense, so it's going to be a supplies expense. So we're going to debit supplies expense. The same concept for prepaid insurance. Our books say we have $900 worth of prepaid insurance. But when we look at the value of our prepaid insurance at the end of June, we actually determine that we have $750 worth of prepaid insurance. So we need to adjust this $900 to make it become $750. And in order to do that, we need to credit it $150. Now that $150 represents the amount of insurance that we used in the course of business for June. And when you use an asset in the course of business to create revenue, it becomes an expense. So that $150 is going to become insurance expense. Now what we want to do is we want to add these two columns to make sure that our adjustment columns equal. 440 and 150 is 590. 440 and 150 is 590. And then you guys are going to want to draw a line right here that shows you've added those two. And when you notice that your debits equal your credits, you're going to draw your double lines. You guys should also already have a line right here from application 6.1 and the two double lines right there for the verification of debits equaling credits in the trial balance. They also equal in the adjustments column. And so now we have completed the adjustments column of this worksheet.